This week we are trying the legendary Filet-O-Fish. Not as a single, but as a double. So stick around, you'll see exactly how I rated it, what it cost me, and more to the point, the advertised versus reality. So as we do every week, starting off with what's in the bag, and yes, Filet-O-Fish. I don't think I've ever had a Filet-O-Fish. I think my mum liked them back in the day. They were kind of a bit unique, you know, in terms of a burger, but brought out apparently to satisfy the Catholic community that abstain from meat on a Friday, apparently. Again, not going into too far into the history, etc. But 1962 testing, I think, and then 1965 released, and it's been a hit, apparently, since then. Like I say, I've never, as far as I can remember, I've never had one as a single, because obviously the double being the new version. So we'll come on to the double and the Filet-O-Fish later on, obviously, in the review. But to start with, obviously, just to have a meal with it, fries, chicken nuggets. I know, chicken nuggets every week, if it's McDonald's. And also the Halloumi Fries, again, just to have the halloumi rather, to see if they've actually got any better or worse since last week, which obviously is impossible, but that's not going to change. But either way, as a meal. So as I said there, not sure if the single is any good, so whether the double's going to be any better. I can't say 100%. So basing it on the fact that it's a double first-hand review, we'll see what it's like. I mean, the picture, obviously advertised, doesn't look too bad. The actual reality, which you'll see in a few minutes, kind of the opposite. However, to start with, we're going to ignore all the rest of the prices, but £5.99, £6 for two quite small squares of either hoki, I think that's how you say it, or pollock. Obviously quite cheap fish, not haddock, not cod. Quite cheap fish as far as I understand. Like, I could be wrong, but I think they're pretty cheap fish, or cheap cuts, etc. Not so much cuts, obviously that'll be meat, but cheap fish nonetheless. And £5.99 for a double. Okay, I think the single was something quite close, like £4.99. I never knew they were that expensive. £5 for a little piece of fish, cheese, tartar sauce, and a quite nice bun, to be fair. It's not a brioche bun, but a glazed bun. And also I had, obviously, again, which I think I'm getting a bit obsessed with, the Frank's Red Hot sauce, which obviously they're keeping. Plus you get the sweet chili sauce with the Halloumi Fries, which I think is pretty good for more or less anything. So to start with, the fries, yeah, again, they're not particularly good. They're McDonald's fries. You know, they were maybe slightly better this week because they were a little bit quicker. And the guy that's delivering them seems to get the food across pretty damn quick compared to every other driver that I've had. So obviously, brilliant service in terms of Deliveroo. Can't really knock it. I think it's getting better. You get the odd driver, definitely better than Just Eat. And obviously, as I say, the food gets to you pretty quick, so it stays pretty warm. That is a completely crunchy, oil-soaked fry. There isn't really much potato left in it, but never seen one of those before. It's seen similar, but not fully on, you know, full soaked in oil. So this week, again, as I say, Halloumi Fries. I suppose they're pretty good. I mean, they are, as I've said from the first point I had them, if they're hot, then they're brilliant. But once they start to cool down a bit, obviously the batter starts to become a bit more crunchy, maybe. They kind of fall off a little bit. But the halloumi itself, again, could be a little bit thicker. Obviously, I know they can't just change them mid-rollout, but it's not a bad side, as it were. The sweet chili sauce, I think, definitely goes well with it, as I said on the first review I did for them. And really, it's just because it's part of the meal more than anything else. Not technically re-reviewing them, but either way, they're pretty good. I mean, they're a good addition. Obviously, keep rotating them with their other cheese sides. I think will go down pretty well. Yes, I know people are probably sat there thinking, why is this guy obsessed with nuggets? Like, yeah, I'm probably not far off, but just to kind of see how they are each week. You know, ultimately, if I get a bigger meal, then yeah, okay, 6 chicken nuggets is really not required. But 2 little pieces of fish, fries, and, well, small sticks of halloumi, I think chicken nuggets go pretty well. It's a shame they're not doing them over £14 for free anymore. So, yeah, here's what it is. However, on to the main event, as you can see there, the double filet. Filet is how it's said, not fillet. Filet-O-Fish. Originally, just as a single Filet-O-Fish, again, as I say, Mum used to love them, but they are, I don't know, they're not a burger, obviously. They're just a piece of fish, tartar sauce, and a piece of cheese. Now, as a double, if it had actually been central to the burger, as in stacked properly, because you can't really pull it apart, it would have ruined the fish, because obviously the cheese is stuck to it. I'm not entirely sure whether there was a second piece of cheese. I'm sure there's meant to be 2 pieces of cheese, or is it just 1 piece? So 2 crispy hoki or pollock fish fillet pâtés, filet pâtés, even though I've just said that completely backwards a minute ago, with cheese tartar sauce in a steamed bun. So no, I thought it was 2 pieces of cheese. Maybe somebody said on a review that it should have 2 pieces of cheese, but the fish itself isn't too bad. I mean, it's a substantial kind of like meaty fish as opposed to a softer fish. So they could just do with being a little bit bigger. I mean, the actual, I think someone else said it on a review, holding it in your hand, it's tiny, like really tiny. I know sustainable farming of fish and all that kind of stuff, but very small. Like the squares are very small of fish. You know, they could do with just being a little bit wider, not necessarily any thicker, but a little bit wider. However, I said all of that, and it was actually, I think, a pretty good burger. Like if you kind of close your eyes and forget you're eating a piece of fish or double, it's comparable to a burger. The consistency, the kind of meatiness of the fish. Obviously not really any flavour from hoki or pollock, but the tartar sauce definitely brings it all together as per fish and tartar sauce. So as a little burger, as a kind of almost like a side, but it's not a side, it wasn't bad. I don't agree with $5.99. I think that's a complete rip-off, but the bun itself was very nice, kind of the steamed bun, glazed bun. It was pretty nice. So overall, as a meal, with that as a burger, yeah, it's not too bad. Not much more I can say about it. Moving on to the apple pie. I absolutely love apple pies. I'm sure I said this in the past. They're brilliant. Just to have a look at the prices whilst we get a second. Again, I think extortionate, quite expensive, a little bit over the top, to be fair. But the apple pie, at least it's not being reduced, or at least I don't think it's being reduced. Maybe a little bit less pieces of apple, possibly. But the apple pies are brilliant. It didn't literally take my skin off. It wasn't like lava on this one, so it's a little bit cooler. But I still think brilliant apple pies, you know, even to the point of, I'm going to say now, 10 out of 10. I think most of the pies are easily 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. But yeah, apple pie is an apple pie. It's the classic. So that's the review. I didn't think it was a bad burger. I didn't think it was a bad meal. I wouldn't say particularly brilliant. Like, it's nothing out of this world. It's just a double Filet-O-Fish. So 8 out of 10, 8.5. You can read the rest. Not a bad meal, ultimately. I appreciate everybody's watching. And if you haven't, check out these videos.